The rain tapped softly against the old motel window, a sound that should have been calming, but instead felt like a drumbeat against my chest. I sat on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling, my mind caught in a storm I couldn't silence. He was there, close enough that I could hear the steady rhythm of his breath, uneven, nervous, waiting. I turned toward him, lowering my voice to a whisper, every word carrying the weight of something forbidden. "Stay quiet, son," I breathed, my lips barely parting. The words weren't just a warning, they were a plea, a line drawn between danger and desire. The air thickened, charged with something unspoken, something neither of us had prepared for. His eyes met mine, wide and searching, and for a moment I thought I saw my own reflection in them, loneliness, hunger, guilt. The silence stretched, filled only by the pounding in my ears. My heart wasn't just beating, it was begging, screaming, colliding with every memory of what I swore I'd never allow myself to feel. And yet, here we were. His shoulders tensed, like he was holding back a storm inside him. I could see it, every flicker of doubt, every flash of forbidden thought running across his face. And still, neither of us moved. The room felt too small, like the walls were listening. The dim light from the bedside lamp painted shadows across his jawline, and for the first time, I noticed how much he'd grown. Not just in years, but in presence, in energy. I swallowed hard, my voice barely more than air. "You don't understand," I whispered, though maybe I was the one who didn't understand. Because the truth was, I wanted him to stay. I wanted him to ignore the warning I had just given. His lips parted, hesitant, as though he was about to speak, but then he stopped. Instead, he leaned ever so slightly closer. It wasn't enough to touch, but it was enough to make my skin prickle, enough to send heat coursing through my veins. My pulse quickened. Every second stretched longer, every breath felt heavier, and yet the silence bound us tighter than any words could. And then he smiled, just faintly. Not out of joy, not out of innocence, but because he knew. He knew I wasn't telling him to stay quiet for fear of being caught. I was telling him to stay quiet because I wanted this moment to last. His breath caught, shallow and uneven, the way a secret rattles in your chest before you dare to let it out. I could hear it, close, too close, and it sent a tremor through me. "Do you know what you're doing?" I whispered, my voice barely holding steady. It wasn't just a question for him, it was for me too. He didn't answer. Instead, his gaze locked onto mine, unwavering, unafraid. The kind of stare that strips away all excuses, all illusions. The silence stretched, heavy, dangerous. My heart pounded in my ears, drowning out reason. Every fibre of me screamed to push him away, to end it before it began. But then, his hand shifted, slow, hesitant, almost trembling. It brushed against mine, just the faintest touch, a whisper of skin. Yet it was enough to ignite something I could no longer bury. I closed my eyes, but that only made it worse. I could feel him, the warmth radiating, the gravity pulling me closer. And then, in a voice that sounded nothing like my own, I breathed, "Don't, don't stop." The whisper still lingered in the air, trembling between us like a fragile secret neither of us dared to claim. His hand didn't retreat. If anything, it grew bolder, tracing a line over my knuckles, slow, deliberate, as if savouring the danger of it. I swallowed hard, the sound embarrassingly loud in the quiet room. My son, my own flesh and blood, shifted slightly, his eyes wide, caught between confusion and something else he couldn't disguise. Stay quiet. I breathed again, the words tasting like fire on my tongue. My voice was low, cracked with guilt and need all tangled together. His lips parted, just barely, as though to answer, but no sound came out. Instead, he leaned closer, the kind of closeness that erases thought, that makes the world tilt and collapse until there's nothing left but heat and the weight of temptation. My body betrayed me. A shiver ran through me, shameful, undeniable. The boundaries I had sworn would never bend were already breaking, cracking under the pressure of that forbidden silence. And then, his breath brushed my ear, warm, dangerous. One whisper from him, and everything I thought I could control would shatter. His whisper finally came, soft, almost inaudible, yet it cut through me sharper than any blade. Don't stop. The words froze me. They weren't a plea. They were a command, one laced with hunger I'd never imagined hearing from him. My chest tightened, my breath quickened. Every rational voice in my head screamed for me to pull away, to run, to shut the door and never look back. But I didn't move. Instead, my body leaned in, betraying me yet again. His hand slid higher, past the safety of my wrist, brushing against the curve of my arm. His eyes searched mine, not for permission, but for surrender. The room spun, every memory of loyalty and love for the man I married colliding with the undeniable electric pull I felt now. My husband was miles away, unreachable, while the fire burning beside me demanded to be fed. Stay quiet, I whispered once more, though this time it was no longer a warning. It was a prayer, a surrender to what we both already knew was coming. The tension cracked wide open. And then, his lips were close now, too close. I could feel the heat radiating from him, the rhythm of his breath syncing with mine. My pulse hammered so hard it felt like the walls themselves could hear it. I told myself to stand, to walk out, to end this before it crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. But my legs wouldn't move. My voice wouldn't rise. Instead, my body betrayed me again, leaning into the storm instead of away from it. The distance between us vanished. His mouth brushed against mine, not fully, not yet. Just a ghost of a touch, enough to send a shock racing down my spine. I gasped, and in that breath, every boundary I had once believed in shattered. He pressed closer. This time there was no hesitation, no near miss. Our lips collided in a kiss that was hungry, desperate, stolen. A kiss I should never have allowed. In that instant, I knew. Whatever happened after tonight, nothing would ever be the same again. The kiss lingered, suspended in the air like a fragile secret that could collapse at any moment. My hands trembled, caught between pushing him away and pulling him closer. When I finally stepped back, the silence between us was deafening, broken only by the sound of my own racing heart. I whispered again, this time softer, as if the walls themselves could judge me. Stay quiet, son. The words burned on my tongue, not because of him, but because of me. I turned away, forcing myself to breathe, to anchor my thoughts. The weight of what had just happened pressed down on me like a storm cloud ready to break. My marriage, my family, my very sense of who I was, it all hung in the balance. That night, as I lay awake staring at the ceiling, I realized there would be no simple ending to this story. No neat resolution, no easy escape. What had happened couldn't be undone, and what might come next would demand choices I wasn't sure I was strong enough to make. One thing was certain. Life as I knew it was over, and that's where it stopped. Not with an answer, not with a choice, just the silence, the kind that swallows you whole, the kind that promises nothing will ever be the same again. because once a line is crossed, it can never be erased. And whether this secret destroys us or defines us, that I still don't know.